What's up, everybody? Giancarlo here today with PPG. Wanted to bring you guys a deck profile of a deck I recently brought to a weekly event. It is Set 1 Broly. I played this in the Hermit Style Weekly Tournament. It's a webcam tournament that they do over on their Discord, so big shout out to Hermit Style. Thank you guys for holding tournaments. And before you get into the deck profile, I just wanted to shout out two events. May 8th and 9th in Cocoa, Florida, there is at Gamers R Us. There's going to be a 6K. And then May 29th and 30th, Pro Play Tour Miami, held in PPG Miami, in Miami, obviously. Vicious Rejuvenation Vicious Rivalry will be legal. It's going to be day one is going to be the PPT, and then day two is going to be GOAT format, which is like the set 2.5 format. We talked about it a lot on our team talk the other day. And this information will all be available on Facebook. Or if you guys have any questions, go ahead and comment. I want to talk about this deck. I want to kind of break down everything that does. So I'm thinking this might actually be a bit of a long video. So Set 1 Broly, what does he do and why do people like him? So number one, he's a Broly. Broly's a really cool character. He's obviously a fan favorite, and it's a hand destruction deck. I love playing hand destruction. It's very frustrating for my opponent. It's some matches are like free wins. Like if you play against Baby, it's like 100-0. It's almost impossible for Baby to win. So it's like you just get free wins because your opponent is playing a deck that's weak to hand destruction. And there's several decks in the format that are pretty weak to hand destruction. And then it's like I just really love frustrating my opponent. I've said in other videos, there's like just dropping your opponent down to 0 cards in hand is just super fun. So what Broly does is when you attack, both players discard a card from each of their hands. On the backside, he awakens at 4 life and you draw 2. On the backside, when he attacks, you draw 1, both players discard 1, and both players pop a card in their battle area. So if you don't know, field spells are in your battle area. So you can pop a field spell with this effect, which is kind of how you gain your advantage. You might, if you don't know what Broly does, you're going to think, hey, okay, well, both players discard a card. That's really bad. But not because you play 4 of this Broly, 3 of the field spell. This Broly, we play black cards in our deck, so his first effects are relevant. All you want is his auto. When this card is discarded by like a leader effect or something, you search your deck for a Broly's Ring. This card counts as Broly's Ring in all areas. When this card is in your battle area, you do not discard from your leader's ability. And most importantly, when this card is sent to the drop area from your battle area with a leader skill or a green battle card skill, it replays itself and you can take up to 1 life. So you swing, you discard this, or you discard this. It plays this to the field. This also takes, I forgot to mention, you have to take 1 or 2 life. You can't take 0 life. So all of this is a huge self-awakening package. And then when this card is on the field, it completely mitigates the negs you get from Broly. So turn 1, you're going to swing, discard 1 of these. You hard mull for these. If you don't see one of these 2 cards in your opening 6, you chuck all 6 back because this deck goes from like tier 2 to tier 5 with no ring. Your leader becomes worse than vanilla with no access to Demonic Restraint. So Demonic Restraint also has a second ability, tap 3 green, summon a 6-cost Broly from hand. We don't play anything. We don't play any relevant targets for this. So like it's irrelevant. But its biggest draw is turning off your leader's negs, okay? All right. And we're going to get into the, I guess, people call it the green 16, right? It's the expected green package. Here's 12 cards, right? Not playing Demigra. And I'm going to explain why, right? Demigra sucks in this deck because this is a Turbo Awakened leader. You do not draw on the front. This is a set 1 leader. So you absolutely want to get to the backside as quick as possible, which means you play Demigra and then you awaken, and then Demigra just dies because you don't want to take life to protect Demigra, which then turns off free Dormant, turns off Frieza. So I chose to play Bardock instead. The big reasons why you play Bardock. So his auto is once per turn, you select a card in your opponent's combo area, send it to the drop area. That obviously right now is really good against something like King Piccolo, really good against launch, and good against anything. When I'm swinging with a critical, and I don't have to combo, and then they have to discard 2 cards from their hand not to take a critical. +1, pop a 1-drop on your side of the field. Your opponent discards a card. We play a lot of 1-drops. We play a whole engine that just cycles 1-drops. So that +1 becomes a huge advantage. And then -3, this card gets +5k and triple attack. So he becomes a 20k triple attacker. I do win a lot of games with that ability. I'm playing 4 Dormant. I'm not playing Roshi. So we know Roshi's getting banned soon. So I just said, okay, let me test this deck out. Without Roshi, and it worked absolutely fine. You really don't need Roshi. Although Roshi's a good card and I would play it, I just wanted to see how well this deck would do without it because it's getting banned. And then, of course, we play 4 Frieza. This deck does not rely on a Unison package at all. Obviously, this Unison is like heavily synergizes with the deck, and I think this is the best choice for the deck. But you really don't need it. Like, you can just tap 1 for Dormant and charge Frieza. So, like, I did not emphasize Unisons very heavily in this deck. These cards are all just very good, so you want to play them. And, you know, Dormant is Dormant, right? Like, when you're playing hand destruction, right, you need time. Like, I'm discarding 1 to 2 to 3 cards from my opponent's hand every turn, but my opponent's also, like, drawing 2 cards. And if my opponent has a 10-card hand, it's going to take me like 4 or 5 turns to really whittle them down. So, like, having multiple copies of Dormant available is just really good for giving me the time to whittle their hand down so I can get to turn 4 and 5 where I can really start discarding, you know, like 5 cards a turn. Here's a really broken thing with this deck. Paradiso, okay? Paradiso says, pop a green card in your battle area. Draw 1 card. Again, field spells are in your battle area. So, again, swing with leader, discard this, take a life, summon Paradiso, send this to your drop area, draw 1, replay this, take up to 1 life. So, this guy is self-awaken and he's draw power. The more turns he's on the field, the better he is. Imagine playing Saiyan, Great Ape Son Goku or whatever, the Saiyan Instincts. Imagine playing like one of those a turn for free. So like if you drop Paradiso on turn 1, there are some games, like some decks just can't clear this. You know what I mean? Not a lot of decks, you know, some decks just struggle with removal. Like Baby, for instance, does not play a lot of removal. So if you can drop this on turn 1 against Baby, there's a pretty strong chance that they might just not draw their like 2 copies of removal, and he's going to draw you like 5 cards a game. If you play against something like King Piccolo or Dark Broly, yeah, they're going to kill it immediately with the drum or Dark Broly SR. But he still, you know, he draws 1 and takes a life. So even if they remove him immediately, it's still pretty good, you know. Against something like Mecha Frieza, they're gonna have to attack it, you know. But they're not gonna be able to just kill it for free, you know. They'll be able to rest it, you know, like different ways. But so it's pretty good. We play 4 Paradiso super combo. The reason this is the best super combo is because after turn 1, these cards in your hand are dead. They're super bad. It's hard to combo with the Broly. You can't combo with the extra card. They're just bad in your hand, and so you need a way to get them out of your hand. So you just play Paradiso, draw 2, warp your extra field spell. That's why it's good. And here is what we got out of Battle Evolutions. We got a Maiden Package, and I'll go over it one by one. Okay, this Riberian is like one of the cruxes of the Maiden Package. So she has unique. When you summon her, you look at the top 5 and you add, I think, any Universe 2. Yeah, or Heroine. So yeah, any Universe 2 card. And we play quite a few Universe 2 cards. Activate main once per turn, burst 2 for 1 energy. If you have 3 or more energy, go through your deck, search for a U2 with 3 or less cost, and you do not control one of the same name. So she cannot search a Riberian, which is unfortunate because then you would be able to grab this from deck. But she can search any Universe 2 as long as you don't control one. So if I don't control Kakunsa, I can grab Kakunsa as long as it costs 3 or less. This card is nuts, man, because every turn you're just not same thing with Paradiso, right? If you establish this to the board, every turn she generates advantage without using cards from your hand. So not only are you depleting cards from your opponent's hand with your leader attacks, but you are now accumulating advantage without playing cards. And she just once per turn summon any U2 from the deck. There's a lot of really good targets, but I kind of just simplified the engine. The main one you're going to get is Kakunsa. So her effect is unique. Auto, when this card is played, draw one card. This does not negate their effects, so you just immediately play this, draw one card. Her activate main is activate main once per turn, burst 2. If your opponent has 8 or more cards in hand, she gains plus 16k double strike. Well, guess what? Like, we're playing hand destruction. Our opponent generally doesn't have more than 8 cards in hand, and if they do, we're not in a great spot. But the best combo with this, and what's really fun to do, is you use Bardock's +1. So you play this on turn 2, you play this on turn 3, tap 1, summon this, draw 1, tick up 1, pop this, they discard 1. For 1 energy, you just generated a +2. And like, you can do that every turn. And so there's a lot of games, a lot of matchups where I'll go summon, turn 3, do this, turn 4, do this, turn 5, do this. And it's like, for 1 energy and no cards in hand, you're just generating a +2 every single turn. And it's really cool. It adds up very quickly. Again, you know, your opponent is going to start with like a 10 card hand. So I need something like Dormant to give me time. But by the time I do this 3 turns in a row, and especially including my leader attack and some critical attackers, you know, that hand's going to drop very quickly. I just need enough time to do it, which is why Dormant is so good, obviously. All of these Universe 2 cards are searchable. So we play double Riberian. You just generally don't have a lot of energy for Riberian. This card is very good. So you tap 2 green energy, warp her from your drop area, and your opponent discards 2 cards. That's obviously very good for 2 energy in this deck. But I only play 2 because I just don't find myself having a lot of energy. And if I do have energy, generally I'm going to play Rosie instead. And again, Rosie is searchable off the top 5 with your 1-drop Riberian. You can play this Rosie from deck, but she does not get her effect, and so you kind of don't want to do that unless you really just want a body on board. So 3 cost, 15k, deflect, auto. Let me just read her auto. If your leader card is green or heroine, when this card is played from your hand, your opponent chooses 2 cards in their hand, discards them, and this card gains triple attack. So on turn 3, this is a unison killer. Like, you just summon her, triple attack the unison, attack unison with leader, maybe attack with your own unison. Their unison's dead, bro. Rosie is a unison killer. If your opponent's at 2 life, Rosie just wins the game. She comes down, they discard 2, and then you just attack 15, 15. Maybe you go to 25. You know, it just depends on the game state, right? But if my opponent's at 3 life, they don't want to go down to 2 life. So I just go summon, discard 2, swing, discard another one to out combo, swing, discard another one to out combo. And Rosie is just a killer. The reason we only play 3 is, again, because of time. Like, we don't have, generally games end on like turn 4 or 5, so we don't have a lot of time to play multiple Rosie. And then like a game, you know, if a game does go long, then you do have that time. But like, you just don't have time to play like 3 Rosie a game. So like, generally you'll play 2 in a slow game, or Rosie, you summon 1 and you win with her. Like, that's the thought process. And then I only play 1 Kakunsa, Beastly Maiden. During your opponent's turn, she reduces to 2. So for 2 energy, counter attack, negate the attack, play this card. Then her auto is, when this card is played, kill something. So on your turn, you could tap 4 to summon her and then kill something. She's searchable off the top of your deck with 1-drop Riberian. And she has like matchups where she's just like, there's certain utility to her. So against like the Victory Strike decks, you can just keep this in your hand and just kill their thing when they attack you. And like, that's why I figured, like, I was just testing her, and she like came up one time. I was able to kill an Omega Shenron with her. I had 2 energy, and he swings in, and I just Rosie. He had copied the critical guy instead of the barrier guy, so I was able to just get a free kill off Omega Shenron. So it's pretty cool card. The fact it's searchable just made me want to test it. I'll probably keep it in. For black cards, we play 3 Son Goku Power of Legends and 1 Mass Saiyan. This card's nuts. Okay. When your opponent discards a card from their hand, summon this card for free. He's a 15k critical. You just attack for 15k. Whether they out combo or not, you don't care because he +1s. Then his auto is, you can warp this card, choose 1 card on your opponent's side of the board that costs 4 or less, and send it to the warp. And then you can't play additional copies of this card the turn you use his effect. So like, if you really want, starting from turn 1, you can just go swing, summon, swing, warp, kill your problematic 1-drop, kill your problematic 2, 3, 4-drop, does not matter. This card kept winning me games against Sin Shenron because I would just swing lead, summon this, swing lead, warp, Nova, the 4-drop Nova. I was always just able to clear the Nova. So like this card just kept winning me against Sin Shinron. So really good card. It's just good in every matchup. Like when you have Bardock on the field, Bardock Unison, again, you just swing for 15. You don't have to combo because we want to keep our hands fat while whittling our opponent's hand down. And they either take a critical or they have to out combo him twice. They discard one for his first, like you use Bardock's auto, knock the first combo off. And then they still have to out combo him. So this card definitely is super good. And the only reason we don't play 4 is because he's actually a 0 mana +0 combo. If you could combo with this card, I would absolutely play 4. But because you don't want your hand getting clogged with cards you can't use in the early game or can't combo, I'm only playing 3. And I just one Overrealm. I've tested a lot of different Overrealms in this deck. This one, sometimes like your deck kind of struggles against decks that can just kill you really fast. So I kind of just wanted a way that helps me get out of jail free. So like this will come down, clear 2 things. This will come down, clear the last thing, and they just kind of work together to clear wide boards. You know, against King Piccolo, like if they have 3 or 4 battle cards, like I need to clear the whole board. Like clearing 1 battle card for free is obviously very nice, but clearing 3 is just better. So again, we just play 1 Overrealm. There's so many Overrealm choices at this point. Like I just like to play this one. For the SCR, I'm playing Heroines Lineage. Okay. Great Ape Mass Saiyan Secret Rare is better. That is a fact. I do not currently own one. So I just played this. This has a very like Ape when it's like you combo with it, you send it from your drop area, you send it from your combo to your drop, and you KO one of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, right? So very similar to this. For 1 energy, you just take a 7 cost or less. Ape is 100% better. I just don't own one, so this is budget Ape. Shout out to Eddie, right? He loves this card, so you know, whatever. This card's good too, right? I think the conversation around this card is kind of muddled, and people say like, oh yeah, only bad players are gonna fall for this card, but there's no falling for it. Like you just use it as a tempo play, like you know, if your opponent just has a nice 4-drop, you just preemptively take it. Like there's so many scenarios. We talk about it again on the team talk, but like there's a lot of scenarios where this card is just good, where like you just, as a tempo play, you just tap 1, steal a 4-drop or a 5-drop, maybe even a 6. Like you can still Demigra from Dark Broly. Like there's options that make this card good. Definitely a good card. But yeah, Ape is better in green decks. I don't own one. And then I play, for the last extra cards, 3 Shockings, 2 Cells. Shocking works really well with Dormant. Your opponent gets 2 attacks, and then you negate the second one. So just Shocking, obviously really good. Also just good because it clears a 2-drop, and it's a Sparking negate. It's like the best green negate. It's a Sparking negate. They're usually the best ones, right? And then 2 Cells. This card's kind of like, in some scenarios, it's really good. So for 1 energy, if all your energy is green, you give your leader plus 15k, and then you randomly choose a card from your opponent's hand. This is the only one that lets you choose. All the other ones let your opponent choose. So generally your opponent's going to choose the worst card in their hand. But with this, you have an opportunity to steal the best card in their hand. So like, you know, like some games you'll hit some trash, but like a lot of times you'll hit like a super combo, or one time I even hit a secret rare. It's so cool. Like you play this on your opponent, you discard their secret rare. See how mad they get, like so quick, bro. It's just a good card, man. I mean, the fact it's a 1 mana 15k combo, so on the backside your leader is essentially 30. It just makes it really easy to get out of certain damage. Like if your opponent swings with a 30k like Omega Shenron, you play this, you 1-for-1, you're immediately a 30k, and then you can just combo 1 from hand to get out of a big damage that normally is just guaranteed. Or if your opponent attacks with a 25k, which like 25k I think is the standard of attack. Like that means I have to use a super combo and another card. For 1 energy, I just get out of a 25k for free. So, and then I get to steal a card from my opponent's hand. Could be the best card in their hand. It's good. Again, in the early game, in the late game, you have more mana than you know what to do with. By the time you hit turn 5, you're done tapping out. You have time for this, but in the early game, like turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, you're generally tapping a lot of energy in the early game, especially if you draw a unison. So like you just might not have time to play this, which is why I'm only playing 2. I didn't sideboard. I don't generally sideboard at locals. moving into set 13, right? We get like 3 to 4 really amazing cards. Um, I don't even remember all of them. There's at least 4 really good cards that are supposed to work in the King Cold deck. But they also work in this deck because I use a field spell as well. So there's like a King Cold that basically becomes a topo. There is a 5-drop Frieza that becomes a 3 cost, and it's like a super good 3 cost. There's a Chilled that's basically mini Abune. And there's like a 1-drop Frieza that also clears the board. So like there's going to be a ton of options for this deck. I would love to see more Maiden support. I think like the Maiden package is almost good enough to like bring a green deck back into the tier, into like a playable status. And moving into set 13, I think hand destruction is going to be a really strong choice. So I'll probably just keep playing this deck. It's really fun, and I'll probably update it for set 13, and I'll probably have a video then. So I hope you guys liked the video. If you have any questions or like want to know about any matchups, feel free to just comment below. Thank you for watching.